If you feel like you're spending way too much money on takeout because you either don't know how to cook or don't have the time to cook every day, then this video is for you. As someone with a busy schedule myself, meaning working full time, going to college, running this YouTube channel, still having to find time to spend with friends and family, still finding the time for hobbies, and all the chores and responsibilities that come with being an adult, I'm still able to cook my own meals at home, despite the fact that just a few years ago, I did not know how to cook at all. In fact, I was scared to be in the kitchen altogether. But not only have I been able to learn how to cook my own meals, I've learned how to meal prep in such a way that I cook once a week and I'm set for the entire rest of the week. Sure, I still enjoy things from my favorite restaurants, but compared to how much money I was spending just 2 years ago to now, it's a night and day difference. So if you want to learn how to meal prep as a complete beginner in the kitchen, let's get into it. Let's start with breakfast. I kind of like having a yogurt bowl in the morning, so I'm going to use these blueberries. I'm going to grab a bowl and just dump the blueberries into the bowl like this. Then, well, make sure you get everything. I'm just going to look and see if there's any blueberry that's kind of moldy like this one, because you don't want to eat that. You just get rid of them. Then I'm going to wash my blueberries. I use cool water, sometimes cold water. I never use hot water. And just make sure you give them a good rinse, because sometimes they get sprayed with chemical products to prevent bugs from eating them. But not only that, you don't know where they've been, so they're probably really dirty, or maybe they've washed them before putting them into the container. But you want to make sure you rinse them thoroughly before putting them in your body. So I like to rinse them at least twice and make sure that they're really clean. After rinsing them, I'm gonna use one of my meal prep containers to put them. If you have this space and you have multiple containers, you can just put a little bit in each one. However, I have roommates that I share the fridge with, so I have to be really smart about how I'm using the space available to me. So every time I want to make a yogurt bowl, I just grab my yogurt, grab this container, and just take some blueberries from it. It was bothering me that one side was left empty, so I found this smaller container and I just decided to put the blueberries in there instead, because it not only, it looks better in my eyes, but it also takes less space. Okay, all right, so this is what I'm gonna be eating the blueberries with. I have my Greek yogurt and I have some bananas. So yeah, that's gonna be breakfast number 1. All right, on to breakfast number 2. I have some eggs. I don't know why I just said eggs like that, but we're gonna roll with that. Anyways, I added some oil to my pan and I'm just gonna let that heat up for a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm just gonna crack my eggs. I'm just gonna fry them. Nothing too fancy, so I just crack my egg. The pot's hot, so it starts frying right away. I'm gonna put this trash bag right here because I like to clean as I cook, because I don't want a mess to be waiting for me when I'm done cooking, and it makes the cleanup process so much easier afterwards. All right, I like to season my eggs with some salt and pepper, so I'm gonna add some salt. That's to your liking, also based on your personal health. Some people cannot eat a lot of salt. It's never good to eat a lot of salt anyway, but you know what I mean. Just add however much salt you want, however much salt is good for you. And then I like to add some parsley flakes if I have some. I don't know, I just think it makes it look better. Also, it just makes it look prettier. Okay, I like what I like. You add what you want to add. And I'm gonna use this container right here to put my eggs, but before, I'm gonna use this plate so they can cool down before I put them in the container. Once the eggs are cooked to your liking, you're just going to use your spatula to remove them from the pan. Look how pretty, guys. I'm just trying to show y'all how pretty the eggs look. Anyways, I'm just going to repeat the same process for the other ones. I'm frying 6 eggs. I think that's enough for the whole week. But keep in mind that I'm cooking for myself and I eat 1 a day. So adjust that to your situation. Now, I think I added too much salt on the previous one. So I'm just going to try this method instead. So I just put the salt in the palm of my hand and just gonna, pinch. That's literally adding a pinch of salt. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the pepper and same thing with the parsley flakes. I think it gives me more control over how much I'm adding, because I think the salt container, sometimes I don't have as much control and I end up adding too much. So if that happens to you, this is a good way to this is a good solution for that. And same process, just cook the eggs to your liking, and once they're done, make sure you're flipping them, because you want to make sure that both sides are thoroughly cooked. Anyways, once you're done cooking your eggs to your liking, you're gonna repeat the same process, just remove them from the pan. And look how pretty. I'm gonna eat them with some croissants or croissant for those who speak French, and some American cheese. So I'm just gonna make an egg and cheese sandwich. Moving on to snacks. I like to have a snack throughout the day before dinner, and I've been finding myself reaching for not so healthy things, so we're gonna be proactive about that and prep some grapes for snacking purposes. And I bought these ones. I was praying that the green ones were not sour, because the last batch I bought, the green ones were sour, and that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, I don't want to try these things again. But here we are, so hopefully these ones are good. So I'm gonna use this container right here, but before, we need to wash them. Same thing I said for the blueberries. You don't know where they've been, you don't know what's been sprayed on them, so you need to do whatever you can to keep your body healthy. Anyways, I'm washing them separately. Don't ask me why. I don't know, or maybe I do. I think I just wanted to keep the aesthetic of the box they came in. So yeah. Anyways, after giving them a good rinse, some of them did not want to be eaten, so they were just running away from me. But I want to get my money's worth, so y'all are coming with me. So after rinsing them, I'm just gonna put them into the container. But before, I'm gonna debranch them. It just makes it easier for me when I just want to grab a snack and go. But if you prefer to keep them like this and you just grab a bunch at once, then that's up to you. So when I'm done doing that, I'm just gonna put them into the container. I'm trying to make them stick to one side, because like I said, I wanted to keep the aesthetic of the box they came in. So this is just me trying to, keep the green grapes on one side so I can put the purple one on the other side. But if you want to mix them, that's totally up to you. Okay, now I'm going to rinse the green ones. I'm going to rinse the purple ones. So I'm going to debranch them before I rinse them. I just thought that would make it easier for me to just get it over with, and then I can rinse them. And yes, it did make it easier for me. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Rinse them. I think I rinsed them twice. And it's for the same reason I mentioned before. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but make sure you clean your food before you put it in your body. Okay, so this is me giving them a second rinse. Just making sure that they're thoroughly clean. And then just gonna drain the water like this. This time they couldn't run, and this is just me grabbing 2 grapes to taste, because I love green grapes. This is not green rose, this is purple. Anyways, I'm just gonna put them into the container as well on the other side to keep the aesthetic, like I said. And yep, this is just me adding the grapes to the container, just making sure I grab everything, because in this economy, you want to make sure you get your money's worth. And I'm just like tasting them as I'm adding them to the container because I can't resist. Okay. Anyways, look how beautiful my grapes look. So I close the container, but then I don't know what that's supposed to do. Like, somebody please tell me in the comments. And this is me opening it again and grabbing 2 grapes to taste. But yeah, moving on to dinner. That's when we're gonna start cooking. So get ready to chef it up. I have some green plantains, so that's what we're gonna make today. They were in these bags, and I was so focused on opening the bags and not tearing them apart. So here I am being patient, trying to open the bag, and I almost had it for a minute. I almost had it. So I was being patient, but then you'll see exactly when I lose my patience and I'm like, yep, I am done. There we go. So I just ripped the bag apart, and the funniest part is that I was so close to untying it, but anyways, it's too late for that. So I put them into this bowl, but they were kind of big, so I decided to slice them into smaller pieces. I think I'm just going to slice them into 2 pieces each. But first, you want to start by cutting off both ends like this. And remember, I clean as I cook, so I just take them away. So I'm just going to slice them into 2 pieces like I just did with this one. And we're just going to repeat the same process for all the other ones. And then I'm just going to put them into this bowl right here to make space for the other ones, and just repeat the same process for the other 3. The first 3 were in pretty good shape, as you can see, but this 4th one right here, the middle part was cracked, and that part was kind of dark, and it wasn't really in the best shape. So I kept cutting it until the part that was going bad was completely gone. So that's why I'm just looking at it. I didn't know it went that far, like deep into it. So I'm just showing you this part that I cut off. I'm just gonna do the same thing for the other side. This one I had to cut really short because the whole middle part was gone. But yeah, so I'm just gonna cut the last one, same thing. But the last one was pretty good, so I didn't have to cut any part of it. And remember, cleaning as you cook will make the whole process easier for you. So this is me practicing what I preach. Okay, now we're going to rinse the plantains because we're going to boil them with the skin still on. And even though the boiling water will kill the bacteria, I still like to give them a good clean before I cook them. So same thing, we're gonna drain the water, and as I was draining it, this piece fell, so I'm just gonna quickly rinse it and then put it back. Then we're going to get our pot ready. I'm using this one right here. I turn on the stove on between medium and high heat. And what you're going to do is you're going to make some lines with a knife along the plantains, because that's going to not only allow them to cook better, but also we're going to add some salt and vinegar to the water. That's just going to help to give them better taste. Not me literally forgetting to add water to the pot as I'm adding the plantains, and the pot was getting hot, so I had to pause what I was doing and add the water. Then I went back to do the same thing with the other ones. If holding it in your hand midair is uncomfortable, you can try that way. You can put it on the cutting board and just make the lines that way if it's more comfortable for you. After doing the same thing with the other ones, I'm just going to add them to the pot. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add some water to make sure that they're all covered under the water so they can boil properly. I'm also going to make some sweet potatoes. So I have these ones right here. First, I'm just going to add them to the bowl so I can rinse them. We're not going to peel them. We're just going to rinse them. I'm giving you a quick glimpse of what they look like and onto rinsing them. So I'm just going to kind of scrub them a little bit with my hands because these ones have been on the ground and yeah, they're really dirty. So you want to make sure you give them a good rinse before you add them to your pot. And we're just going to drain them like this, and then back to our pot we're just going to add them. And I'm going to add them to the same pot, but if you want to cook them in a different pot, that's totally up to you. Then we're going to add some water to make sure that everything is covered with water. Then I'm going to bring my lid and just cover the pot. Before putting on the lid, I'm just going to add some salt. I think I added about 1 tablespoon. Then I'm going to add some vinegar, probably 1 teaspoon. I'll put the measurements in the description box below for y'all. But I think that's about 1.5 teaspoons. Okay, now we're going to cover it with the lid. Moving on to the next part of dinner, we're going to make some fish stew. First, I'm adding some oil to a pot. I have this fish that's been marinating overnight. That's what we're going to cook today. Look how beautiful this is. And this marinade is the Haitian épices I made the other day. I'll link that video somewhere up here for you if you want to watch it. But yeah, fish stew is very easy to make as long as you have the fish properly seasoned. It will taste delicious. I'm adding all the fish to the pot like this. And then we're going to add some water, but we're going to add it in this container right here. That way we can take all the leftover seasoning. I'm adding quite a bit of water because I like to have enough stew to eat with my plantains. So if you can make less if you want, you can make more. It's totally up to you. After adding the water, I let it boil for 5 minutes, and when it comes to a boil, I bring over a bowl and I'm gonna remove the fish so I can make the sauce. People do it differently, but I've found that way works just fine for me. So that's what I'm gonna do. When you're removing them, you gotta be really careful because you don't want them to break apart. So I'm just gonna grab them and put them into the bowl. Just do that for every piece. And if it's easier for you to use a big spoon, just go with that. I think I've said it before. There's no set rules when you're cooking at home. It's whatever works for you. Just go with that. It's not a competition. The end goal is to make something that you can enjoy. So whatever is more comfortable for you. And when I'm done removing them, since the épices had a lot of seasoning, I'm just going to taste the water to see how much more seasonings I want to add. First, I'm starting with some salt. I'm adding about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to move on to some black pepper. I think I added about 1/4 teaspoon. Then some garlic powder, same thing, 1/4 teaspoon. Then I like to add some red pepper flakes. This optional, up to you, as much or as little as you want. Then I'm adding some parsley flakes. I didn't have fresh parsley, so I'm using parsley flakes. I also think they add a nice color to the food, so I'm adding that. Then because it's seafood, I have some Cajun seasoning, so I'm going to add that. And again, because it's seafood, I'm going to add some lime juice. I just think it makes it taste better. I have some bay leaves. I don't really know what they do, but people add them, so I'm adding them as well. And every time you add seasonings, you want to taste and see if it's to your liking so you can adjust as needed. Next, I have this onion right here that I'm going to clean, peel, and cut to add to the stew. I always remove the skin and the first layer. It just makes it easier for me. And again, I try to keep my area clean when I'm cooking. So after removing the skin, I'm just gonna grab it and put it in my trash bag. Then I'm just gonna give it a quick rinse before slicing it. Now, people slice their onions differently when they're making stew, but I like this one better. Some people I know, they like to do the circles, but I mean, it's your food, so however you like it, just cut it that way. Then I have some green pepper that I'm going to cut as well. I'm only going to use half of it because I don't need the whole thing. So I'm just going to put the other half back in the fridge. I'm just going to remove the seeds. Then I'm going to cut vertically like this, and then I'm just gonna cut these pieces in half. Before I continued with the stew, I decided to check on the plantains and the sweet potatoes for a little bit. The skin of the plantain started to peel off on its own. That's when you know it's almost ready. So I'm gonna let it cook for a couple more minutes with the lid back on. Then I'm gonna grab my bell peppers and add it to the stew. After adding them, I'm just gonna use a big spoon to mix it a little bit with the sauce. And I've had these ones in the freezer. I had some red, orange ones. I didn't have any more yellow left, so I only added these. And same thing, I'm just gonna add the onions as well, and make sure that I mix everything together. And while this is cooking on low heat for a little bit, I'm just going to remove the plantains from the boiling water because they are ready. I'm removing them first because I know for sure that they are cooked and ready. So I'm using a fork to just grab them from the water. And as you can see, the skin is falling off of them. That's when you know that they are absolutely ready. When I'm done grabbing them, I'm just gonna poke the sweet potatoes with my fork and kind of see how cooked they are. The fork didn't really penetrate easily, so I know they needed to cook a little bit more. In the meantime, I'm just gonna finish up my fish stew. I'm adding the fish back into the stew because you know I added the onions and the bell peppers, and now I'm just gonna add the fish, and I'm gonna cover it for about 5 minutes. Let it cook on medium to low heat, and when it's ready, I'm just gonna remove it from the heat. I'm using this towel because this thing was hot and I'm not trying to burn myself. So yeah, I'm gonna be using this container to put the fish stew. I should have waited for it to cool down way more than I did, so learn from my mistakes, because you know this is a plastic container after all. And after adding the fish to the container, I'm gonna pour the sauce over it. Look how beautiful. That's what happens when you use different colors of ingredients in your food. Look, that's what I'm talking about. This is just beautiful. Anyways, our sweet potatoes are now ready, and you're gonna see because when I do the fork test, it's time to remove them from the boiling water. First, I'm going to remove them from the heat and just put them somewhere more accessible for me. And don't ask me why I put the plantains back into the water. I don't know, okay? I don't really know what I was doing. Anyway, I have this container right here. Well, where is it? There we go. I have this container right here. I'm gonna put the plantains in a separate one, so we'll start with them. The skin is pretty much falling off on its own, so I didn't have to put in too much effort into removing that. And I feel like I'm turning into my mom, because why am I grabbing the hot plantains with my bare hands while I have a whole fork available to me? Anyway, just make sure you grab everything. I know sometimes it's hard to see because of like all the empty skin, but just take a look around and make sure you grab everything, even the smaller pieces. Like, this, just make sure you grab all of it. And look at my plantains, y'all. Beautiful. To make some space, I'm gonna remove the skin and just add it to my trash bag. Then I'm going to use this container to add my sweet potatoes. At first, I started adding them with the skin still on. Like, as you can see, I was very determined to be done with this meal prep, but I remembered that I'm trying to make things easier for me throughout the week. So I changed my mind, put them back in the water, and decided that I was going to peel them instead. So I removed them from the water, but you don't want to throw away the water because you need it to preserve your plantains throughout the week. So I'm just gonna pour the water over the plantains. That just helps them last longer in the fridge, and the water has the salt and the vinegar, so that's also gonna help with the taste. Now that's out of the way, I'm going to peel my sweet potatoes. I bring my trash bag over. Remember, we clean as we cook. And peeling the sweet potatoes was very easy. The skin was basically falling off of it anyway, so it didn't take long. So I'm glad I decided to peel them off instead of like just leaving them with the skin. Then I just cut them into 3 pieces and put them all in the container. And as far as the last part of dinner, I'm just gonna clean some lettuce and tomatoes to eat with the plantains, the sweet potatoes, and the fish stew. I got this one. It was like $1 something at my local grocery store. So, I mean, it's healthy for you, so why not? And after I finish separating all the leaves, I'm gonna give it a good clean. This is not gonna be cooked, so you want to make sure you wash it thoroughly. I'm even gonna add some vinegar, wash it multiple times, because I'm not trying to eat the bugs and bacteria that are crawling around this thing. And sorry if I put a picture in your head. So let's enjoy the sound of me washing the lettuce to forget I just said that. Okay, I hope I'm forgiven now. Anyways, we're gonna add some vinegar. I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but it helps to clean it even more. So I'm just gonna remove them from the bowl and rinse them under running water, just to give them that last good rinse and make sure that they are ready to be eaten as they are. And I'm just gonna put them back into the bowl, and I'm gonna be putting them into a container as well. So right here, that's the one I'm gonna be using. And I used to add water into the container thinking that it will make them last longer in the fridge, but I haven't been adding water lately, and they've been just fine, so I just stopped doing that altogether. And I don't even know if leaving them in a wet environment was a good idea in the first place. And since they're not going bad, I mean, I don't have a reason to do that anymore. So, yep, here's my lettuce ready for the week. So I'm just gonna close the container and put it away. Next up, we're gonna do the same thing with the tomatoes, and just like the lettuce, you're gonna eat it as it is. So it's really important that we wash them very thoroughly. I don't want to sound like a broken record, so I'm just gonna let you enjoy the sound of me cleaning these tomatoes. Okay, now that they are all clean, I'm gonna put them in this container right here, but first I need to slice them. It's fairly easy to slice a tomato. You just put it on your cutting board like this, and you just make the slices. Just make sure that your knife is sharp. And when I'm done cutting them, I'm just gonna add them to my container right here. That's how I'm gonna save them in the fridge. I'm just gonna cover them and put that away. I had about 6 tomatoes, so since this container was a little small, I'm gonna cut the other 3 and add them into another one. All right, I'm done cutting all my tomatoes, and this was the last part of dinner. So it's gonna be boiled plantains, sweet potatoes, fish stew, lettuce, and tomatoes. Put that away as well. And here I'm just showing you everything I made, from snack to dinner to breakfast. I am all set for the entire week. All I have to do is heat up my food in the microwave for a few minutes and I'm all set. For some of them, I don't even need to heat them up. So yeah, that's everything. Alright, if this video was helpful, click that hype button so YouTube can push it out to more people like you who need some help in the kitchen. Now, if you're ready to meal prep at home, but you need some help with grocery shopping because you either haven't done it before or you just don't know how to go about it, check out this video right here where I tell you how to grocery shop like a pro, even as a complete beginner in the kitchen. See you there. Bye for now.